Welcome back. Welcome. I'm Jenny. I talk about random things that pop into my head, and you don't always have to agree with them, but I do ask that if you make a comment, please keep it civil. Now, today, it's Mother's Day. This is my second video of the day, and I am going to talk about something that may trigger some of you, so you might not want to hear this, and that's okay. And it's probably going to infuriate a lot of you, and it infuriated me. So let's just go and talk about it. So I posted a video a little while back talking about my youngest daughter who is getting ready to graduate, and she got her GED, and she had to work really, really hard to get it. But I'm going to tell you a story about her when she was getting potty trained. So she had just turned 2, or she wasn't even 2 yet, I don't think. I don't know. She was still very little. And we moved. We had to get a new babysitter. And I didn't feel like she was ready to be potty trained yet, but her dad wanted to potty train her. The babysitter wanted to potty train her. I get it. Diapers are kind of gross. They're a pain in the neck. So reluctantly, I said, okay. So we're going through the motions of potty training, and after a couple weeks, she really wasn't doing that great. And this one day, I'm trying to get her to sit on the potty, and she goes into hysterics. I mean, hysterics. She was screaming and crying and no, and all this stuff. And then she says, Grandma spanked me. And I'm like, Grandma spanked you? You haven't even seen your grandparents in a little while, you know? And I know that they wouldn't spank over potty training. I just, like I said, my mother, she hadn't been around my mother alone, because my mother might have, but probably not for potty training. But her other grandmother would have never spanked her. And I'm like, what do you, so I couldn't understand it. And then it kind of clicked in my head. The babysitter had the kids calling her grandma because she was an older lady. And I turned to my other daughter and I said, is she getting spanked at the babysitter's? And she was 4 and real serious. She just nodded her head. She never said yes, or she just said, she nodded her head. And then I think she did maybe explain a little bit, that when she has an accident, she was spanking her. Well, I can tell you how furious I was. I knew she wasn't ready to start with, but everybody knows you don't spank a kid when you're potty training them, that it messes them up in their head, that it can mess them up. So that was the end of that babysitter. She didn't go back. There was no notice. There was no nothing. Yes, I reported her. Got another babysitter real quick and told her father, I told you she's not ready to be potty trained yet. So we went back to the diapers, just the diaper routine that we had. And then that was like in the fall. We moved in the summer, so it was either late summer or early fall. Well, Mother's Day came around after that. So this is like 6 months later, right? Mother's Day morning, we're in the kitchen. I'll never forget this for as long as I live. We're in the kitchen, we're having breakfast. I think my husband made breakfast that morning. And Valerie comes out of her bedroom and she says, I'm not going to pee in my pants no more. And I said, you're not? I said, okay. So we put big girl panties on and we went through. She was the easiest child to potty train because she just made up her mind. She, I think, had maybe 2 accidents like at night, after that. But she never, ever needed a diaper again. She never had accidents. She was fine. And I just wanted to bring this up because that was one of my Mother's Day gifts. I consider it one of my Mother's Day gifts. She didn't know it was Mother's Day, but it just happened to fall on that day. But I also bring it up. I mean, there's so many lessons in this story and so many things to be angry about. But the main one, in hindsight, because my daughter, she, in a couple days, she's going to be graduating, getting her GED, and she worked really hard to get that. She didn't have anybody helping her with it. She didn't go to adult education. She taught herself, and it was hard for her. And potty training was hard for her. We didn't mean for it to be hard for her, but it was. I didn't mean for it to be hard for her, but it was. But when it was time, I have an itch in my nose. When it was time for her, she did it. She did it. And, every child is different. Every person is different. That's just my story for her, because the other two kids, they were different too. But there was a saying that my dad used to say when I was little, especially if we hurt ourselves, but it's applicable in a lot of things. He said, it'll be better before you're married. That's what he used to say. Meaning that sometimes these things are hard right now, but it's not going to be like that forever, and you got a long way to go. And so my little girl, she's come a long way too. She really has, and I'm proud of her, and I hope she knows that. I'll post pictures in my community tab, I guess. I don't know if I'm going to get a video of her, but I will definitely post pictures so you can just see how beautiful she is. And she looks nothing like me, you guys, but she's mine, I promise. And you can see how far she's come since her potty training days. And she'd kill me if she knew I was talking about this. But anyway, happy Mother's Day.